The chase is about getting the best out of yourself. Remember, we've all got different levels of talent. But in Neale's case, it's just resilience. The character of the person, if you're looking at the resolve of what type of person, very tough, strong, resilient character that he had in him. He would never give up. That type of mixture, it was important to bring to Essendon to get them to be better.
Neale Daniher comes in for the kick that could possibly win the game. And he's put it through, and the Bombers have hit the front.
Well, Neale had an upbringing on a farm with 11 kids, so that's a reasonably sort of different upbringing. 7 sisters, that would have been tough enough as it was. He had something a little bit more than just being a boy off a farm. He was an extremely intelligent young man. He won my first ever Best and Fairest, and he overcome a bit of adversity to get that. And then, of course, I named him captain after 1 year.
Good mark to Daniher, just about the best player on the ground.
So his decision-making was quite brilliant. It's hard to find players like that. I rate him up there with James Hurd as 2 of the most talented players I've coached. Such a commanding player across half-back. I mean, he was Essendon's Bruce Dool. That's how good he was. He just balked around a guy, not a very, very serious sort of heavy balk. It was just a sidestep, and that's when he first did his knee. We never thought that it would be as serious as what had turned out. Neale's attitude was pretty impeccable. He knew that he'd been dealt a fairly hard blow. Not many guys could do what he did. Have 3 knee reconstructions, come back and play football with his brothers 9 years later. That's an incredible, resilient effort. The loneliness of recovery is absorbing, and to believe deep in your heart that I can make it back. I can do this. And that's where the character of Neale Daniher actually just keeps lifting. I mean, even right now, it's probably at its greatest and highest ever. I don't think anybody's shown anywhere near that spirit and power of an individual's mindset to chase what he chased, and that was to have a career in the end, even though it blew up in his face at such a young 20-year-old start. Oh, well, Neale Daniher could do anything. Early doors, he was very strategically minded, so much so that he had a great say in how we played in the '93 premiership, because he was my midfield coach, and he got it right. And I think it was probably one of the finest coaching performances I've ever seen of anybody in AFL. So he really dissected football probably better, I thought, than nearly anybody. In 1998, when he gets a chance, you go for it. He made the finals, I think, 6 or 7 times out of 10 years at Melbourne. You know, when you think about it, he had some pretty good players that he got to play better, and he got the best out of them, because not many people would have thought Melbourne would have made the grand final. As I said, he's very unlucky to cop Essendon as the grand final opponent in 2000. Neale Daniher never had a club to take him to a premiership. Sometimes it's not really a coach's fault that they don't win a premiership. Sometimes it can be the club's. No one wants to hear that. I'm just telling you. He could not do any more at that club. Since Neale's left, Melbourne have been nowhere near the club that Neale Daniher had Melbourne when he was there. So sometimes when you let a person like him go, you'll find out how good that person was. I think when Neale left Melbourne, he probably had a pretty good time doing other jobs in footy other than trying to carry the Melbourne Footy Club on his back. Well, MND's something that I've been a bit close to because my father died of it. Just to hear that, you just think to yourself, well, what more does this man have to cop? Why has this young guy had all of these problems thrust at him? And there's no answer. I can't find that answer.
It kills you out by slowly paralysing you. It'll get to a stage where I can't swallow, I can't speak.
To get up on TV and struggle to talk, he doesn't even worry about that.
My vision closed off is a world without MND.
Eventually, when they find a cure for MND, that might be one of his greatest legacies. And I'm pretty sure he's taken the chase right up to the best anybody could. I don't know of anybody else that in the AFL has actually achieved what this guy's achieved and overcome along that 30 years.